When everybody speaks well about someone, and with everybody I mean everyone in a certain environment, in an extended environment. So I'm not talking about a household or a school. I'm talking about a village or a part of town. Anyone that knows about individual's existence. If there is someone about which everyone has a good word to say and they can't think of a bad word about the individual, then know instantly that something's wrong there. Jesus Christ himself, the Messiah himself, who had no sin and no darkness at all in him, he had a lot of people that had bad words about him. People made up stuff about him. So how can you have someone that was born in sin, that was born in a fallen state, how can you have such an individual that has no bad word about them? That doesn't add up. Okay, let me go into an illustration now. Yet a couple, a Korean couple that was in America, they were in a restaurant. And while being in a restaurant, they were there with their small daughter. And they were having just a family time. Then there was this guy that entered the restaurant. And he sat down to order something. Then the husband told the wife, "Dear, let's get out of here." They weren't finished eating yet, and the daughter was even asking, "Daddy." They were speaking Korean, of course. They were asking, "Daddy, are we leaving already?" And the father said, "Trust me." The father did not say, "Because I said so." The father said, "Trust me. We need to get out of here." So the family, they pay what they need to pay and they leave. The waiter was a bit surprised they left so quickly. So that evening, the wife asked the husband why they had to leave. And then the husband told her, "You see that man, you noticed that man that walked in late when we were eating dinner?" And the wife says, "Yes." How I noticed him coming in. The husband described the man, and the wife agreed, "Yes, saw him." Didn't you notice that the moment the guy walked into the restaurant, people stopped their conversations? And many people began to look at him. And didn't you see that many of the people looked frightened at him? And some looked so angry at him that they were about to explode. The wife said, No, I didn't notice anything." The husband tells the wife, "Listen, I sensed in my spirit that something was about to happen, so that's why I wanted us to get out of there." So 3 days go by. They're still on holiday. 3 days go by. And then the police knocks on the door. And the police says that a homicide has been committed. And the husband asked why the police came with him, because they were just tourists. And the police show a picture of a man. And the husband looked at the picture and he recognized the guy. It was that guy that walked into that restaurant some days back, that he sensed he had to leave. And the guy said, "Yeah, I think I saw this guy when we were at the restaurant." The police said, "This guy has been killed. So we want to exclude you as a suspect. So if you could come to the police station, you can give a statement, then you and your wife can leave." So they did. They went with their daughter to the police station and they gave their clarification of what they were doing at the restaurant. When they left, they still had about a month of holidays left in the United States. The husband and the wife went into town to buy some groceries, and there were people talking about the guy that was killed. And the only thing that the Korean couple heard was that he was just such a nice guy. He was always polite. He was always ready to help other people. So everyone was speaking well about the guy. And the Korean couple itself began to ask their pretenders to be detectives because they wanted to know what was going on. And while they pretended to be detectives and began to interrogate people, all the people said good stuff about the guy. Even people that didn't knew he was killed. So after a few days, the couple decided to cut out with the game because they didn't want to get in trouble with authorities, because they wanted to be able to go back to South Korea afterwards and not be held there because they were arrested. So the husband tells the wife, "Don't you think this is a bit strange? Some of those people we spoke to were there in that restaurant that day that we were there. All those people speak well about the guy. But yet, he was killed brutally." So the Korean couple, after the holiday was gone, they flew back to Korea. The husband still couldn't let it go, so he followed the news of the south of California to see if he could find anything about it. And it was then that the Korean guy found out that the guy that was killed, he was involved with some Korean businessmen that lived in Seoul's capital of South Korea. And he checked out the date of this businessman, and this businessman was reported to be involved with the Japanese Yakuza, which is the Japanese mafia. And then the guy realized, this is getting weirder and weirder. Now, the guy was not a detective. He wanted to let it go, but he sensed as if he needed to look further into it. And when he checked out that Korean businessman, he found some articles of some online Korean magazines that mentioned that this Korean guy, often visited a fortune teller. And that one day he went with an American friend of his. And the name of this American friend, it was that guy that was killed in California. So what was going on here? This was going on. That guy that walked into that restaurant and later he was killed, that guy used to be a nobody according to society. He finished high school, he finished college, he had no job, he was almost homeless for a while, he had part-time jobs, doing laundry, working for, to pick up trash. That's the kind of work he was doing. And a lot of people couldn't stand him because they thought he was too pushy, as if he pushed himself onto people. Now, one day that guy had enough. He wanted to become successful. So he wanted to start his own web shop. So he started his business online. He had no customers. And after a while, the taxation service told him to shut down his business, or else he had to face jail for a month because he didn't pay taxes for the 5 products he sold. So this guy went into a depression, and he went online to look for psychic help. And he saw a link of this Korean fortune teller that was in California for a psychic conference of other fortune tellers. And he decided to email her. And when he emailed her and told her a bit that he wanted to get a solution, she mailed him back and said that he could come for a meeting. At that meeting, that guy met that Korean businessman who also was a customer of that fortune teller. So the fortune teller told this man, this American guy, that the reason people couldn't stand him was because an aunt of his put a black magic spell on him that would cause people to dislike him and turn against him. And the people around reacted to this tension. Now, when the guy heard this, he became very upset. And the guy said to the fortune teller, listen, I want that aunt to be dealt with, and I also want all those other people that rejected me, treated me badly, I want them to be dealt with also. Despite that there was an evil spirit that might have worked it out, those people still knew what they were doing, and they knew it was harmful to me, but they kept on doing it anyway. The fortune teller told them, you're right, they are responsible, even though it's a black magic spell that was working out, it worked out through them, and they sensed that something was wrong, but they kept on holding on to their will anyway. The fortune teller agreed with him. But that guy, let's call him Mike, Mike was not aware that this was a trap by the demons that were using the fortune teller. So Mike said, okay, I want you to do some psychic work to put good fortune onto me and to deal with all those other people that have worked against me. So it happened. And when he was leaving the fortune teller, that Korean guy spoke to him and they exchanged numbers and they became friends and later even business contacts. And that guy, Mike, he went to Korea almost 14 times. I mean, that man became a businessman also. But look at what happened. All the other people that didn't like Mike because they, for some reason, they all sensed that bad stuff began to happen in their lives. Some noticed that their cars broke down on a regular basis. Others had that money disappeared from their house. Others had nightmares in which they kept on seeing Mike's face haunting them. A former employer that mistreated Mike had people robbing his business, taking away half of his possessions. I mean, man, things were happening. And while all of this was happening, well, Mike had his success. And what happened to Mike? Mike used to be a bit shy, though, because all the rejection he faced. Now Mike became bright. He became talkative. And he was now driving an expensive car. He lived in a better apartment. He even married a Korean wife. So things were going well for him. But the people that were affected by the job that the fortune teller did, well, for some reason, some of those people noticed a pattern. Why? Because this is what you need to understand. When demons work for you, they don't do a complete job. They only do the thing they are assigned to. They have no care towards you to warn you about the bigger picture. They don't. They're not permitted to. So the people that were affected by the job that the fortune teller did on Mike's behalf, they began to look at their lives and they began to wonder when all that misfortune began. And they saw it all began in April 2013. And then some of them noticed that this Mike that none of them could stand, he made his first business trip in April 2013. And they thought, well, this was just coincidence, nothing to do with it. Well, those people were not aware that Mike went to a fortune teller. They didn't knew any of that. But over time, next month, they noticed that, hold on a minute, they didn't treat Mike very well. They didn't want to admit it. They pretended as if it wasn't that bad. They knew they were wrong, and they felt as if they were being punished for it. So some of them contacted Mike to say they were sorry for how they were treating Mike. Mike accepted their apology and hung up the phone. They thought they would feel better, but some of them, they began to feel worse after they have admitted the guilt, admitted what they've done. Some of the people that heard about all the misfortune became upset with Mike because they sensed Mike had something to do with it. When those people went to Mike's house, well, when they wanted to walk upon the property of Mike, there were demons there that smited them down. They felt something invisible smiting them down with fists. So when those people felt that, they ran away, crying. And they were hysterical for the next few weeks because it was such a shock for them. And these people told all the others that knew Mike what happened. And those people became terrified also. The paranormal violence that let me just say this before. Those people, they became upset and wanted to go to Mike's house. They were looking for a fight to beat Mike and do all that crap. So they were wrong. But at Mike's house, there were two demons that stood over there, two angry demons, and they smacked those people down. One of them even had to go to a hospital, but he couldn't explain what happened to him. But that event caused everyone to believe that this Mike was in some kind of black magic or something like that. And after a while, there was one guy who used to know about Mike, who didn't like Mike either. He heard all that happened to all the other people that couldn't stand Mike, and he became terrified because he was engaged, about to get married, and he didn't want his spouse to haunt him. One day he heard that Mike appeared in a Korean restaurant in San Diego. Well, is San Diego in California? Okay, anyway, in a town in California. And when that guy heard about it, he became more furious because he realized San Diego, that's close to me. Mike's coming too close. So that guy went out one day when Mike was returning from the casino, and he stabbed to death. Why? Because that guy did not want his relationship with his future wife to be affected by how he treated Mike in the past. But here's the thing. When Mike became successful, he made new friends, new associates, and all those people spoke very well of Mike. And those other people from Mike's past, before he met that fortune teller that were speaking bad about Mike, they didn't dare to speak anything wrong about him yet. So that is what has happened. So that Korean guy that was at a holiday with his wife and his daughter, when he saw that Mike coming in, he didn't know his name was Mike, and he saw the reaction of the people around him, he knew something was up. He didn't know the bigger picture, but he knew that something was about to happen. So he left, and he did the right thing. So what I'm trying to teach you with this parable here, the justice that demons gave Mike, that justice was short-lived, and it eventually cost him his own life, leaving a wife who now was a widow and two small children behind. Now, was it right for his aunt to put a black magic spell upon him? No. Was it right for all those people, even though it were demons working through them, to keep allowing demons to work through them at Mike's expense? Was that right? No. Did those people have to repent? Yes. Did the people and those men that want to go to his house to commit violence against him, were they right? No. So that Mike wanted justice. Was that something wrong? No. But where did he went to seek justice? At the paranormal. He went to the wrong address to seek justice. So the so-called justice he received was short-lived. And here's the thing, that justice did not solve anything. It only created new problems that people had to deal with. Now, Mike was dead. So now, those people that were left behind, from his past, that didn't like him, that went through misfortune, now they were afraid, thinking, who killed Mike? They all wanted to know who killed Mike so they could move on. Because now they were terrified that this might haunt them also. And that fear that those people felt attracted demons onto them. So you see what has happened here? Whenever there are things happening that shouldn't happen, and you want what I call justice, or you want things to be solved, look, when you're following the Most High, there will be things that will be permitted to happen to you. Things that you don't understand why they have to happen or why they're happening. Just understand that God's way of working out justice for you is different from how you expect it. Does that mean that you have to agree with evil circumstances, that you have to permit people and give people the right to be negative against you? No, you don't. Just understand that when you are crying out for justice, demons hear you, and demons are more than willing to help you getting justice. But it will be justice on their terms, but you are not aware that it's their terms, and their terms are always going to be self-counseling. It's going to have a honeymoon phase in which there are consequences on those that perpetrate that wrong against you. But you're now built up in pride, and now you have things working out for you at the same time. But later, all of that is going to trap you, and you are going to be in a far worse situation than you were before, and you will not be aware that you are in a far worse situation than before. Now look, I don't know your circumstances. I don't know who did what to you or why they did it. Just trust God. Trust the Most High. Agree with Christ. Agree with the Messiah. Yes, you should pray to tear down demonic strongholds. You should. And if there are dangerous people that have dedicated themselves to think bad about you, and they are desperate to act out violently against you, you pray against them also. Just because you walk in love does not mean you walk in stupidity. You know that evil exists, and you know that there are desperate evil people also exist, and you know that danger exists, and you know that people often will permit things to happen. So you're not going to wait till things happen. You walk by faith. But don't force justice on your terms. Because when you do that, demons got you. They do, but you're not aware of it. Well, that's it for now. I hope this audio recording has inspired you for the good. Trust God. That being said, be at peace.